Thank you, sir. Ve- Very good afternoon to one and all. I am Madhvi from IBPG College, Panipat, and it's a privilege to introduce session's resource person, Dr. Sudhanshu Joshi. Dr. Joshi has his PhD in supply chain management. He's a professional Lean Six Sigma Black Belt and certified discipline Agile Scrum Master. His domain area of research and teaching interest is operations and supply chain management. His primary affiliation is School of Management at Doon University, India. In addition, Dr. Joshi is the coordinator of PM Gati Shakti Center of Excellence in Logistic and Supply Chain Management and in charge of Operations and Supply Chain Management Research Lab at Doon University, India. Presently, he serves as visiting professor research at Center for Supply Chain. He served AAII, that is Australian Artificial Intelligence Institute, University of Technology, Sydney, Australia, for the period of 2 years and served as the adjunct faculty at the School of Technology, Doon University. With 26 H index, Dr. Sudhanshu Joshi has 2,800 citations on 60 plus publications listed in Scopus databases. Most of her publications are into high impact factor journals and listed in SCI or SSCI. A and B categories, including Transportation, Research Part E, Journal of Cleaner Production, Journal of Retailing, and Consumer Studies, IEEE Transactions on Engineering Management, Journal of Environment Management, Government Information Quarterly, Information System Frontier Operation Management Research, etc. His research interests are artificial intelligence and sustainable supply chain management, business analytics, sustainability, circular economy, supply chain optimization, Industry 4 and 5.0, digital supply chain management, focus on green supply chain network design, sustainable supply chain decision and coordination in humanitarian supply chain network, application of big data analytics in sustainable and humanitarian supply chain, emerging technologies, circular economy, agricultural supply chain, and soft computing applications in supply chain management. He served as a member of Project Management Unit, MSME, Government of Uttarakhand. He is the subject expert with the Uttarakhand Public Service Commission. He has done many research projects and consultancy for funding agencies, including UGC, ICSSR, and the Government of Uttarakhand. He is a member of leading societies, including CSI, IEEE, POMS, and INFORMS. Dr. Sudhanshu is a series editor of the Research Note series on operations and supply chain management, CRC Press, Taylor and Francis, and the list is endless. Sir, on behalf of all the participants, I welcome you and request you to start the session. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Am I audible clearly to everyone? Can you hear me clearly, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Pawan, sir. Thank you, ma'am. So, firstly, a formal thanks to the HRDC Bhagat Phool Singh Mahila University. Thanks to Shefali ma'am also for inviting me. And the discussion is, I'm trying to, talk more on, Indian knowledge system, and the perspective for coming up with the refresher program on this theme is to discuss more about the boundaries of the subject. And since my perspective is from a business management angle, so I took Arthshastra as the tool for making decisions and planning for modern business. So I try to create a kind of presentation which is more focused upon the practical perspective of quarterly Arthshastra. And before I start anything, I wish to know how many of you are from business management or commerce background and economics. Can you please raise your hands? The head counts will work. How many of you are okay? So almost right is a good number. And other people, those are from humanities, other branches of humanities and social sciences. You're also requested to raise the hands. All right. So the larger chunk and the people, please lower down your hands now. And the people, those are from the background of sciences and physical sciences. All right. So as I can see, the people, those are here as a participant. They belong to a multiple set of people, multiple set of backgrounds, primarily from commerce, from economics, and from other disciplines of social sciences. And also the few of the participants are from the domain of sciences as well. So I'm trying to, make it a very generalized discussion today so that everyone will get the benefit of it. And this is a quest of, understanding knowledge through this sort of refresher courses. And we all are being the peer group. We all are being the part of the same family, no matter what is our date of joining. By and large, refresher is required by everybody to get promotion. So it should be the free and kind of, open discussion. So whenever you feel like that you are required to pause me for any kind of interaction, you're most welcome. Just unmute yourself and start talking. Right. So let me start with our objective for today's discussion is on unleashing the power of, Indian management system. So I took the management perspective of Indian knowledge system, and I will take Arthshastra as a central, excuse me, close this also. So I wish to take you to the discussion on this. So let me start that. Let me take the Indian management system from the viewpoint of the, can you see the changing slides? No. Okay. Let me reshare it because probably, yeah. Now can you see the changing slides? Yes or no?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So I will try to make it very interactive, right? And if you see the historical perspective, since the human race come into picture, the day people start trading, people start, rulers start ruling the kingdoms. We have an administrative system, which is called as governance system, right? The system was later on, defamated as the caste system. But since the Vedic time to the Maurya age, and recently during the time when the modern age of evolution is happening, we are actually in the rigorous process of coming up with, arrangement of levels of management. Through the level of management, we are trying to administrate people, administrate the system as such. So Indian management system starts its journey from Vedic time to Maurya's age, and very recently the modern age of management, when we oftenly call that the whole set of organization who take decisions are categorized into three category: top level, middle level, and lower level. जैसे किसी मंत्रिमंडल में रहता है, जैसे प्राइम मिनिस्टर ऑफिस का अपना मंत्रिमंडल है, सो उसमें टॉप लेवल ऑफिशियल्स होंगे जिनमें प्राइम मिनिस्टर मुख्य होंगे, और उनका एक बोर्ड ऑफ गवर्नेंस होगा, स्पेशल एक्सपर्ट जो मिनिस्टर्स होते हैं, एक्सपर्ट ग्रुप ऑफ मिनिस्टर्स बोलते हैं उसे, जो कि टॉप लेवल मैनेजमेंट को शो करता है. एंड दे हैव द सेट ऑफ पीपल व्हिच आर दोज आर, if you see the structure in modern age, we will talk about Vedic times, which is the first era. We will talk about the Maurya age, and we will also talk about the modern age. So I'm taking about PMO, since PMO is here in my city today. We have an investment meet. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the Home Minister is in Dehradun right now, in present day today. So just I'm taking an example how his PMO looks like, Prime Minister office looks like. This PMO is typically a governing body. It has its own governance system. And if you simply see the Mantrimandal of Prime Minister, it has PM himself and two or three of his very core members, experts like Home Minister, Finance Minister, and Defense Minister probably. So this portion of management is top level management. Then certainly he has a variety of MPs, member of parliaments elected from different constituencies through a process of election. and which is called as middle level management. So whatever prime minister office or the chief ministers has decided along with the prime minister, they have to take care of the orders, and they will pass on the orders for ground root implementation to the lowest level of management, which is called as low level management, or MLAs will take care of them. So it's a simple, logical flow of orders, and this structure is called as governance system. So during the kingdom's time also, when the Maurya Vansha was there, or maybe before that, when Sabhyata starts taking its own shape, then the governance system keeps restructuring itself. And the most appreciated form is this hierarchical form that I've discussed yet, the pyramidal structure. So I will discuss about that also. It's a very generic viewpoint on. Now, interestingly, if you see and understand how the modern or the Vedic or other things are coming into shape, the system works. It starts with Kautilya Arthshastra, because it is considered to be the basic of governance. Arthshastra gives a lot of understanding about how the social structure works, how the governance system works. So Acharya Chanakya has gave us many of insights on economics, governance, and administration. अर्थशास्त्र का शासन से रिलेटेड कई सारे इंसाइट्स हमें देखने को मिलते हैं जब हम अर्थशास्त्र को रीड करते हैं. Besides, अर्थशास्त्र sufficient नहीं है. If we are very intended to understand through Indian knowledge system about the Indian management system, how it works and evolved, we also need to understand the ethic and social principle, how to live in a society, what are the core ethics, right? What are the social principles? And Manusmriti, as per my knowledge, or as per the literature I have read, it's considered as a second text that one should read. Besides, for philosophical reason, for understanding about what should be the social order, what should be the duties of the individual, groups, parents, teachers, right? And the people, those are socially influencing people, how they take care of their responsibility towards society. Ved and Upanishad could be the third, text set of textbooks to be read down. So, in my opinion, Arthashastra, Manusmriti, Ved and Upanishad, they are the core areas, core texts one should read. And if you simply see the blending between these two or three, is Arthashastra give us the basic understanding and the explanation on how the state crafts economics, ethics, and strategy works for administration. So even after many of thousands of years, Arthashastra is considered as the book of formulating strategies for the better administration. And in one or another form, it is being taught into many of B schools, many of big MBA courses, and definitely for public administration, as we know that Labasna Masuri is responsible for the training of IAS officers. The officers trainees of Indian administration, and Arthashastra is a core book that one should read. So this is what the influence of our Vedic literature in today's age also. And as I've said, that Manusmriti is the ethical code book. Basically, it let us know what is the conduct, how to live into the society, how to manage the society, what is our responsibility, how the governance keeps managing. So let us talk about two things first. That is how a traditional Indian management system looks and how the contemporary management practices are being held. Now, if you see the traditional Indian management system, it talks about holistic governance, right? Emphasize on holistic. That's why it is being revamped. The people, the present government and the education system, Ministry of Higher Education, still they are very focused and emphasizing on taking back and implementing Indian knowledge system as one of the great force in today's curriculum also as per NEP. So I wish to ask and open this question to you, that in your opinion, what is holistic governance? Anyone out of you? Holistic governance. Holistic means what? Please unmute yourself and participate in discussion. What do you mean by the term holistic? I hope I am audible clearly.
The kind of an integrated approach which takes into account all the stakeholders?
Yes, yes. So it is integrated approach. What's the good name, ma'am?
Ritika.
Ritika ji. So Dr. Ritika has said that it is an integrated approach. Integrated means it counts everybody, right? All the stakeholders should be considered, their interests should be taken care of while we pass on any order or take anything into consideration. So like for instance, in the recent times, for example, GST is being enforced. So that taxation is influencing every part of the society, right? Even a rickshawala to a big trader. So enforcing GST requires a full-fledged management, a great planning, right? So everything should be well documented, well in advance. The planning is required. So the enforcement of GST to the public or the trading organization should be easily, accepted. So governance could be understand in the example of GST. It could be understand through the system of enforcing taxation to the people. So we have a mechanism for that. We have a mechanism of asking for a taxation to the public or the trading partners or the traders. We have tax agencies for the same, income tax department. So the governance for enforcing any new form of taxation or coming up with new taxation reform is not coming directly from the Prime Minister office as such. It has its own organization. It has its own way of asking taxation or any change and information about or knowledge about that change. For example, GST. So holistic governance means it should not exclude anyone. If it is a national taxation reform, GST, or any in new terms, any in education sector, it is affecting primary education also, it is affecting madhyamik education also, and it is also affecting the higher education. So we must have a plan in order so that top to bottom, from the from the policy makers till the implementers or the stakeholders or the beneficiaries should understand the meaning and the scope of this new change. So in our industry, NEP could be an example. And holistic government results into integrated approach, like the lady said. It should not exclude anyone. If the students are the ultimate beneficiaries, they should also be the part of policy making. So traditional Indian management system has its own, core competency, and one core competency is its holistic approach. It doesn't exclude anybody. It includes every section of society, every beneficiary, directly or indirectly. And this is what actually is a need of the hour also. And in recent times, we are witnessing that the holistic structure of governance is coming back. Like in most of the implementation, government used to ask feedback before the policy is to be tabled into Vidhan Sabha initially with a state-related policy, or maybe into the parliament before tabled it into the parliament. It is being thrown to the public domains and asked people to give the feedback or their opinion before on the draft of the policy before it is being formally implemented or formally inked. So holistic governance is important, and it is not only about the BJP government. I believe that holistic government structure is everywhere in most of the states. Those are non-ruling, non-BJP ruling states also. So this is one of the great approach for integrating people. Those are getting benefits, implementers, policymakers, strategists, people. Those are taking that policy to the masses. So holistic governance is something we should take care of. And this is the great learning from our spirituals and traditional Indian management system. Second thing is ethical leadership. So I believe that leadership is very clear to everybody, that it's a way of getting the things done from others. So anybody who can talk about ethical leadership? Any one of you? What do we mean by the term ethical leadership? I mean, it's a very generic term. Anybody who is from science also will be more appreciated to answer this question. What do you mean by ethical leadership, sir or ma'am? Please unmute yourself. I hope I'm audible to you guys. Kindly unmute yourself and let us know what ethical leadership for you. Yeah, anyone?
So, Manpreet here. Hello.
Yeah, Dr. Manpreet, please.
Yeah, actually, when we talk about ethical leadership, we talk about the values and the ethics which a person should possess while managing his team, and he should show that kind of a stature to the others, which should be followed and respected. We can inculcate certain kind of our own sanskaras in that also. We can have that holistic approach again here, because it's a very broad kind of a term. For you, one thing can be ethical, for me the other thing can be ethical. So it generally is governed by the way we have been brought up. The religion also plays a role, our culture also plays a role. So there are so many aspects which determine the ethics of a person.
Yes, yes. Since being teachers, we are also into the ethical role, no matter we are the head of the department or not, because we are taking care of students. They are really depend on us. So we are the educator leaders basically, and rightly said by Dr. Saab that this is something very important these days also, and it is being taught to us that ethical leadership means doing right and appreciating right in life, right? Value driven activities, value driven leadership, and leadership with the consciousness, as she said, because few things could be good for, in your opinion, they could be ethical, and probably in my opinion, they could be non-ethical or unethical. But when it comes to ethical leadership, it should take everybody's consideration in mind, everybody into account, and consciousness in terms of taking decisions as a leader is very important. For example, while as a teacher, we sometimes debar the students. We because of the less attendance, we give them the marks based on their appearance in the classroom or their answering capability to the question we used to ask in the exams, or maybe in the classroom also. We give assignments to them based on their hard work into their assignments and the projects. We give them the marks. So this is the leadership actually, which is being exhibited by a class teacher or the course teacher. And ethical leadership means he, in broader sense, he or she should be free from any kind of biasness. The flawlessness is coming through unbiased opinion and unbiased actions by the teachers. So these two things are very much blended with our industry also. One is holistic governance, and second is ethical leadership by the teachers. And if you simply relate it with the contemporary management practices, it is being somehow during the time when we are talking about the modern management, which is really coming from the business houses and the business organization, and which is sometimes called as a contemporary management practices. Somehow the order of holisticness, somehow the ethical leadership or the ethical way of conducting a business or a process is being spoiled, is being challenged, or is being diluted. And we in the course, we are becoming more profit oriented. We are becoming more stakeholder value oriented. Although this is the plus point, that beside to focusing upon the profits, we are also taking care of the needs of the shareholders or the stakeholders. So interestingly, contemporary management practices are also having its own goodness within, but the perspective is now getting 100% transformationalized into profit making objectives, which sometimes disallow us to maintain our ethical understanding about subjects, our responsibilities and duties towards society. For example, a company which manufacture cosmetics, they sometimes start using unrealistic, or I must not call it unrealistic, I must call it unethical, components in their products. For example, animal fat they are using, and they're claiming that it is free from any animal trial or animal, fat they are using. The claims are different, but the actual product contains animal fat. So, or maybe sometimes they disclaim that they are using, the ingredients are free from any acid or free from any chemical. But when it comes to real testing, which is sometimes held by some third party or some NGO, it is oftenly believed, and it is oftenly understood and investigated out of the investigation, that they are using unpermissible chemicals, which is harming the skins or the users skins or users. Sometimes it harm the or create there can serious terms time also. They can have the long-term harms to the body of the individual as well. So contemporary management practices are somehow in the quest of creating profits, they become more unethical sometimes, or antisocial in the longer term also. Like we still remember Bhopal tragedy, and when Union Carbide has done some sort of unethical practices, and it leads to the lives of people. It took the life of many people, and even after generation, the people are having defects in their bodies. So contemporary management practices are good. I'm not saying that they are bad in terms, but somehow they are more profit oriented, and profit orientation leads to somehow compromise on the standards and the consciousness of the individuals and the business leaders. So if you simply compare the principles in terms of what we had as an Indian system and what presently we have as a modern form of contemporary business practices, and we simply bifurcate it in from the perspective of values, as the lady said, a holistic approach, as the earlier professor has said, and the resources. So if you take resource management as one of the viewpoint, traditional system were more focusing upon societal welfare. For example, a factory which is into jaggery manufacturing, गुड़ बनाने वाली एक छोटा सा एक कारखाना है जो गुड़ बनाता है, वहां पर किसानों को भी रोजगार मिल रहा है जो खेती करते हैं, गन्ना का उत्पादन करते हैं, उन्हीं को बोला गया है कि हम गुड़ का उत्पादन भी कीजिए. सो एक इंटीग्रेटेड रिसोर्स मैनेजमेंट सिस्टम है यहाँ पे, कि जो फार्मर है वो 6 महीने ही खेती कर रहा है, 6 महीने खाली रहता है, तो 6 महीने वो जैगरी प्रोड्यूस करेगा या शुगर केन के बाय प्रोडक्ट्स बनाएगा. इट कुड बी शराब ऑल्सो, इट कुड बी अदर फॉर्म ऑफ distilled products also. So the management of that particular system, which is into jaggery manufacturing or byproduct manufacturing of sugar cane, is more resource oriented. That everybody who is the part of the system should be beneficiary also for the longer run. So the resources which are available, the laborers are the resources, the kisan are the resources. They should be perfectly and optimally utilized. No matter we have to pay them extra bucks, or we are more focusing on their welfare. Even in the modern terms, we have few examples. I will discuss about it. But yes, interestingly, contemporary systems are also taking resource management as one of the leading components. But here there are two major challenges. The managers of modern days are trying to strive more efficiency out of involvement of the manpower, which means that a manpower should be utilized, labor should be utilized as much as to their capacity. I mean, it could be 24 hours taking extra hours, or taking extra labor from the individuals. What matter their efficiency and their capabilities, so that we can take the returns out of the salary or the wages we are giving them, which is somehow in the longer run is an injustice to their biological body or their soul sometimes, because they got frustrated because a lot of overtiming is happening, and it results into suicides also sometimes in the organization. And we have learned in the modern times that the suicide rate in the workplace is getting increased because the people are extra utilized, or they are being exploited in the real sense. So people become more the businessmen become more result oriented, cost efficient, and he's trying to thrive between cost efficiency and effective outcomes. So resources are being exploited like anything. So in that way, they have become inhuman, right? The modern organization. So they need to revamp their principles. They need to revamp their thinking and philosophy, because there is a philosophical change now. If you simply compare, traditional knowledge system and the modern form of, business management or contemporary management systems, there is a change in the philosophy. So philosophy is to be reset now. Similarly, in holistic approach, we, if you see from the traditional viewpoint, we are considering society first, right? society should be served first, nation first. That feeling that whatever we're doing as a business, it should serve the society first. Our inventions, our discoveries, our innovation should serve the society because they are meant for the society. But in recent times, from atom bomb to hydrogen bomb, we have the examples where opportunist businesses are becoming more opportunist. They are doing invention for their own, business benefits. Especially when you see the medical and drugs manufacturing companies, they first spread the disease and then create the antidotes, right? And biological warfare is something that is coming up and witnessing by the people. We don't know what COVID was. It's a biological war weapon, or it was an accidental, virus created in Wuhan lab. So now, interestingly, the approach is getting different. It from society to individual in the contemporary business environment, the things are getting changed. But which is in long term is a problematic situation, because you are trying to create a marketplace, trying to sustain that marketplace by doing wrongdoings to the public, wrongdoings to the society. And foremost is the value and ethics, of course. So morality and ethical conduct was the core. But in contemporary system, we are trying to somehow compromise on ethics. And we have ample of examples. Pranish Murthy's example, when he was being thrown out by Infosys, he created iGate as a big company. And he was he victimized a woman, and he was booked for the sexual harassment case. But the guy has he betrayed the company and created a new company called iGate. And it became a bigger company than Infosys at a later stage. He was a close related to Narayan Murthy, the founder. So there are a lot of unethical practices where the ex-employees are taking market, they're trying to influence the clients and getting ratio from the market, or trying to give the easy and less economic solutions to the customers. So unethical practices are prominently coming up. We have a lot of business examples where companies are compromising compromising their ethics, right? So let us get back to the evolution. And evolution says that broadly we had three periods. First period was the Vedic period, which is primarily based on the philosophical perspective of social orders, right? Considering Vedas and Upanishad as their core, source of spiritual understanding. Second is Maurya era, because Maurya being, is an era which is free from, I must call it the era which is before, Mughals has come up, because Mauryas are considered to be the more indigenous, kingdom when it comes to. And they created, and the presence of obviously Acharya Chanakya during the Maurya time. So sophisticated administration and government system was being witnessed during the Maurya's time. And in recent times, because of globalization and the world order, firms are becoming more profitable, more focusing upon the profitability. Their leadership approaches are being, changed. We are not saying they are compromised, but they are changed, and they has its own goodness also. Now, if I call it a conceptual framework, which says that let us take goodness from the heritage. Let us plug, the best practices or the technological intervention that we are doing in our contemporary or modern form of management, and let us blend them together, right? So that we can serve better to the society. We can earn more profit without being unethical. So lesson for the modern businesses are more on, taking wisdom, understanding the consciousness from the traditional systems, point 1 and point 2, and get it, merged with our modern practices, so that whatever we are serving to the society or to the public will become a part of the global economy. I must acknowledge the guy from Haryana for this, Ramdev, who was the person with the wisdom. And when he started things, he come out with a great plan. And now a owner or the founder of India's second largest FMCG company, Balakrishna and Ramdev, they are the two great examples where they took the ground from Vedic understanding, right? and the understanding about creating a governance within, although it's a kind of, it's to be called as a not purely social enterprise, but it's an example where the individuals with the Vedic, blend of mind, they initiated an idea, took yoga to the world, and come out with more Vedic and non what do you call it, herbal or Ayurvedic products to the market, and they become the second largest FMCG company, which is being operated in India and very indigenous after a company called ITC. So the order is ITC is number one, second is Ramdev's company. And in the global order also, if you see the Forbes list, which is just released today, this is a company which is able to make to top 50 companies in the world. So this is very appreciated in a very small span of time, hardly in the span of 2.5 decades. This company is able to make the miracles. So let us understand what were the core principles when it comes to Arthshastra. So Arthshastra talk about lot many principles, and Raj Dharma, duty of the ruler, is first, which means that ruler means the king here, the administrator in modern terms, whosoever is taking care of the responsibility of the system. His core responsibility as a ruler is to do the Raj Dharma. That is what the welfare of the people, those who are banking on him. Praja ka dhyan rakhna. Praja ke hitton ki chinta karna, right? And if you simply see in a global company in today's sense, they become more, responsible. अगर हम आज की तुलना करें तो आज के संदर्भ में भी वेलफेयर आप सर्व कर रहे हो, बिकॉज ऑर्गेनाइजेशन अब क्या हो गई हैं, रिस्पॉन्सिबल ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस हो गई हैं, और उनके लीडर्स, उनकी लीडरशिप एक रिस्पॉन्सिबल लीडरशिप है. व्हाई डू लेट मी टेक एन एग्जांपल. कंपनीज आफ्टर creating a lot of kiosk and kind of pollution, they decided that they will decarbonize their businesses, or they will have in simple sense they will have less usage of plastic. So the leaders are more focusing upon that when the products goes to the market, it should be packed in such a product material that it should be biodegradable. That recently, if you see that, let me take example of big global companies like McD's for example, or Burger King for example. अगर आप उनके फूड्स को यूज कर रहे हैं तो आप देखेंगे उनकी पैकेजिंग जिस प्लास्टिक पैकेज में हुआ करती थी, अब उन्होंने रिप्लेस कर दिया उसको, एंड नाउ दे आर यूजिंग बटर पेपर. So if you order some burger from Burger King or maybe from McD, it is not being served into plastic sheet. Now it is being served into a kind of brown paper, and internally it is being served into butter paper. So butter paper will do two purposes. It will soak the extra oil, and also it will protect the core product. और उसकी जो ऊपर की रैपिंग हो रही है वो एक ब्राउन पेपर में, जो थोड़ा मोटा ब्राउन पेपर है. तो जब आप उसको यूज करने के बाद फेंकते हैं डस्टबिन में, तो वो बायोडिग्रेडेबल होने की वजह से गल जाता है या सॉइल में सम्मिलित हो जाएगा. सो ये डिसीजंस लीडर लेते हैं. ये डिसीजंस जो छोटे छोटे पैकेजिंग से रिलेटेड डिसीजंस हैं वो बहुत बड़े हो जाते हैं, बिकॉज अब मैट्रिक तक पॉल्यूशन करते हैं छोटे छोटे प्रोडक्ट्स बना कर डिलीवर करके उन्हें. और रिसेंटली अमेजन जैसी बड़ी कंपनीज ने भी अपनी शिपिंग, जब वो पैकेजिंग करती है क्लाइंट्स को प्रोडक्ट देने के लिए, उसने भी कई सारे पैकेजिंग स्टैंडर्ड्स डेवलप करे हैं खुद इस बीच में, और नॉन प्लास्टिक पैकेजिंग या बायोडिग्रेडेबल मटेरियल का इस्तेमाल करके उन्होंने पैकेजिंग स्टार्ट करी. तो हम रिलेट कर रहे हैं यहाँ पर कि वेलफेयर अभी भी सर्व हो रहा है. मॉडर्न ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस भी राजधर्म कर रही हैं, ऑल्दो कंटेक्स्ट उसे वो राजधर्म नहीं बोलते हैं, पर कंटेक्स्ट सेम ही है कि हम क्या करते हैं, अपनी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज को समझते हैं, और स्टेक होल्डर्स यानी कि भी यहाँ दोनों एग्जाम्पल्स में जो मैंने लिए, कंज्यूमर हमारा अगर स्टेक होल्डर हम समझते हैं तो उसको सर्व करने के लिए हम बेटर पैकेजिंग यूज कर रहे हैं. मैं ऐसे रैंडम एग्जाम्पल लेके आपको बताना चाहूंगा. सेकेंड इज दंड, द यूज ऑफ पावर. So when it comes to strategic application of power का इस्तेमाल कैरेट एंड स्टिक एक थ्योरी होती है मैनेजमेंट में, उससे आप रिलेट कर सकते हैं कि अगर काम ऑर्डर में चल रहा है तो आप अपने एम्प्लॉयज को, अपने स्टेक होल्डर्स को मोटिवेट करते रहते हैं, और अगर वो थोड़े सुस्त पड़ते हैं, इनर्शिया में आते हैं, तो उन्हें दंडित भी करते हैं. तो किसी भी दंड व्यवस्था को अगर हम समझें वो एक पावर का एक डार्क शेड है कि आप स्ट्रेटेजिकली अपने लोगों को जस्टिस देने के लिए या कोई अगर काम नहीं कर रहा है उसको दंडित करने के लिए आप पावर सिस्टम का इस्तेमाल करते हो। और अगर मॉडर्न बिजनेस के कंटेक्स्ट में देखें तो हमने अभी लेजिस्लेटिव सिस्टम्स बड़े स्ट्रांग हो गए। तो अगर कोई भी बिजनेस किसी दूसरे बिजनेस का कोई कॉपीराइट या कोई पेटेंट चुराता है या उसको इमिटेट करता है तो वी हैव द प्रोविजन ऑफ दंड आल्सो, लाइक इन आवर एजुकेशन सिस्टम, हायर एजुकेशन, if you copy somebody else research, you are being penalized because we have system now in place. So plagiarism is illegal. Similarly, business organizations also have their own system. If somebody imitating the product, they can drag them to lawsuits to the courts also. So user or within organization also, if the two members within the organizations are into dispute, they are crossing their limits, so organization can have the power to take them to the ethical committee. So a lot of things are actually very much blended when it comes to traditional and the modern form of doing business. And second principle is still applicable, although we not call it dand, we call it by some other name, but yes, second principle is. Third is mitra. Chanakya has said third principle is mitra, which is getting into partnerships, alliances. I still remember when when Bhagwan Ram has come back to his kingdom, and he has been again took the responsibility as a king of Ayodhya. So first thing first was he did Ashwamedha Yajna, and Ashwamedha Yajna is what is the lost kingdom, 14 years old kingdom, which was never expanded because his younger brother was only taking care of as a custodian. He was taking care of the whole kingdom, and he was into a sattvic form of his life. He was not doing a kshatriya duty. तो वो सिर्फ मैनेज कर रहे थे उनको। तो भगवान राम और लक्ष्मण जब वापस आए, जब रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी ली गई, तो उन्होंने बोला एक्सपेंशन तो किया ही नहीं आपने, हमने अपना क्षेत्रफल नहीं बढ़ाया, तो हम क्षेत्रफल बढ़ाने के लिए अलायंसेस करते हैं, उसको हम अश्वमेध यज्ञ के नाम से समझते हैं। And they run a horse with a small troop जो उसको गार्ड कर रहा था, और आसपास के राजाओं को बोला गया कि या तो आप हमारे यहाँ हमसे मित्रता कर लीजिए, हमारा पार्ट बन जाइए, सम्मिलित हो जाइए हमारे साथ एमलगमेट हो जाइए, अलाइड कर लीजिए हमें, अपने आप को अलाइड कर लीजिए हमारे साथ, या फिर युद्ध के लिए तैयारी कर लीजिए। तो लव कुश वाला एपिसोड अलग है, बट इम्पोर्टेंटली अलायंसेस हमेशा होते थे। अलायंसेस कई पर्पसेस से होते हैं, जैसे आप कुछ को क्रिएट कर रहे हैं, अपना बिजनेस एक्सपेंशन करना चाहते हैं, या फिर आप चाहते हैं कि हम कॉमन सिक्योरिटी अरेंजमेंट सीखें, जैसे एलाइड फोर्सेस करती हैं, जैसे रशिया और इंडिया का कोलैबोरेटिव टीम्स हैं बहुत सारी, और प्रोबेबली मोसाद को हेल्प करता है अमेरिका। सो इजरायलियन वर्कफोर्स कोलैबोरेट कर रही है अमेरिकन वर्कफोर्स के साथ, या मरीन कमांडोज, रशियन मरीन्स और इंडियन मरीन साथ में काम करते हैं। ऐसे बिजनेस ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के साथ भी होता है। तो alliances is something is very important. It help you to understand new piece of knowledge also. Sometimes in our industry also we have alliances. No, lot of education institutions, lot of agencies like AICT or UGC, they start collaborating with foreign regulators so that they can serve better to the masses, better to the students, better to the teachers. So alliances is something very, very basic for Arthvavastha to extend its limits. And partnership is a way of life also. Since from Ramayana till now, collaborations and alliances plays a very important role. Third important principle is economics and wealth. No economy, no kingdom, no place, no country can survive without economic growth. We are witnessing a lot of countries like Sri Lanka, which has fallen into trap of China because of the loan non-payment of the debts they have raised through China. And now Sri Lanka is an unofficial, colony of China. So same is the danger with Nepal also. So for a country, for a piece of land, for a kingdom, for a nation, for a state, important is economic growth. So the wealth of the people will also get increased. So it is not happening to be the part of the modern education, modern businesses, but also it is being taught to the rajas, to the kings by their gurus through Upanishad, the Jnana of Vedas and Upanishad, that their focus is not only to extend their businesses, extend their lands through amalgamations and encroachment and fights, but also the extension of their economy by putting more trading, by putting more industries, उद्योगों को डालना, नए नए livelihood के options generate करना अपने लोगों के लिए. And this become principle of the modern, business organizations also. So for any sustainable business growth, constant efforts, new experiments, new innovations, new infusion of, innovation is important. So business environment is 1990 was the time when modern Indian gurus, modern Indian, government. Thank you to Manmohan Singh ji and thank you to Narasimha Rao ji being the Prime Minister and the Finance Minister at that time. Manmohan has come out with LPG, liberalization, privatization, and globalization, which is what? Which is something, is a modern form of Principle 4, which government India was not able to extend its business activities because being the second largest population that time, we don't have jobs to offer to the youth. We don't have industries in place. So government has decided that they will open the doors to the foreign players, foreign countries, foreign companies to invest in India. So the economy become more liberalized, more private, and more global. And the result is where the world's second largest service industry, second largest goods manufacturing companies here in India. We were in 2000 and 2010 till 2020, we are the largest outsourcing agency to the world. So Arthvavastha is being pumped in through some strategic decisions, and the Principle 4 is highly applicable. In modern times, we have two big people, which those should be worshipped, Manmohan Singh ji and Narasimha Rao ji, which took those are called to be the key innovators of modern times for economic upliftment of India as a country. So the principles are highly important and relevance is very high when it comes to Arthshastra principles, all these three principles. And they can be only carried out, they can be only, submerged with the modern form of, doing businesses when we start doing ethical governance. I mean, this is important. Raj Dharma should be aligned with the ethical decision making, right? So we should think about the society, of course, and it should be ethically driven, right? And we have many examples. Like I was talking about Pranesh Murthy, who was a close cousin of Narayan Murthy. He was being, he was accused for harassment of a lady in the UK office. Narayan Murthy asked him to leave the company, which was a very high ethical decision because it was called to be the Infosys was to be called. It is called to be the one of the highest ethical company in the world. So without more inquiry, he asked Pranesh Murthy to leave the company. It was an ethical decision which was required. Unethical was Pranesh Murthy took the whole clientele on his name and he asked his client to leave Infosys and join iGate. He promised him to serve them at a low price, low cost. And iGate became the big company देखते देखते. So actually कई सारे पहलू हैं इसमें. दूसरा strategic alliances हैं. जो मित्र प्रिंसिपल हम बता रहे हैं यहाँ पे, जो मित्रता का प्रिंसिपल है, प्रिंसिपल third, which is more on getting into fostering individual growth to united growth and market expansion by clubbing with someone who is more powerful or expert, getting some sort of expertise in other area. Let me take an example. ICICI Prudential is an example where the bank, a private bank in India called as ICICI, it joined hand with insurance company which is into life insurance, an American company called Prudential. They joined hand and create a new company called as ICICI Prudential. Same company, same bank. They wanted to get into general insurance business. So ICICI has joined with Lombard. It's an UK-based company which is expert into general insurance. So strategic alliances give new life to ICICI. Being bank, it was facing problem and it was facing challenges with the new regime of banking imposed by RBI. So it decided that it will expand its business into other verticals of BFSI, and they get into non-banking activities, including general insurance, including life insurance and general insurance. We have another example which was not very successful at the later stage. A company which is into construction business called as Unitech. Still it is. It because construction industry was having lot of रेगुलेटरी चेंजेस फॉर रेरा आ चुका था तब. यूनिटेक ने डिसाइड किया कि वो अपने बिजनेस को डाइवर्सिफाई करेगी. कंस्ट्रक्शन कंपनी थी, डेवलपमेंट करती थी, हाउसिंग कंस्ट्रक्शन और इंडस्ट्रियल एस्टेट्स वगैरह बनाती थी. तो यूनिटेक ने सीमेंट भी बनाती है ऑफकोर्स. तो इसने डिसाइड किया कि वो एक यूनिनॉर के नाम से, नॉर्वे की कंपनी है टेलनॉर के नाम से, टेलनॉर, ये कंपनी बैंकरप्ट हो चुकी है. इसके साथ इंडिया में नया बिजनेस करेगी और इन दोनों ने मिलके अलायंस किया और अपने बिजनेस का नाम क्या रखा? यूनिनॉर. So Uninor is nothing but the alliance is a result of modern alliance between a cement manufacturing and construction company of India called as Unitech and a Norway-based telecommunication giant called as Telenor. And they get into a new business with a new name called as Uninor. I hope आपने लोगों ने सुना है इसका नाम. How many of you have heard about Uninor and used its services?
Yes, sir. I had used services. Telenor, Uninor.
Yeah, but Uninor was not very successful. Not always the strategic alliances land up into a sustainable profit stage because they have their own, business leadership issues. And here the issue was Telenor was being bankrupted in Norway. And because of this, Uninor has to be discontinued its business in India. Anyways, so modern business के context में हमें मोटे-मोटे तौर पे leadership और power dynamics को बहुत importance देनी चाहिए. Like for instance, we have great leaders as a chief ministers and of the different states in India. We have, for example, in UP states, we have very powerful, leadership these days. In Central India, being the Prime Minister office, we have a very strong, global leadership in place. So they have their own provision. The work culture is now redefined. We have Dandi system for effective leadership, and people are, in the autonomous mode. They are trying to, work harder, and it results into a lot of, outcomes also. So leadership, when it comes to the application in modern times, leadership should be based on Dand principle. Economies should be based on Earth principle, right? We'll discuss about this more in detail. And see, there are two things which are important. One is long-term sustainability, right? So anybody would like to throw some light on long-term sustainability when it comes to business profitability? Anyone? The term sustainability, let us take sustainability as a term for discussion instead of long-term sustainability. Anybody who would like to talk about sustainability in businesses or for any reason? What do you mean by sustainability? Anybody? Please unmute yourself. Yeah.
So meeting present needs without compromising the future needs?
Yeah, without compromising the people, right? You said people, right?
Means I said without compromising the need for future. Means we should not focus on short term only. We should take into consideration the future needs as well, long term.
You need to repeat, ma'am. There are a lot of voices coming from the background.
Sir, I'm saying sustainability means that we should meet our needs at present, but we should not compromise the ability of future.
Ability of future. Okay, right. He's right. So sustainability, as Dr. Madhvi said, is we should not compromise upon the needs of the future. I mean to say the future generation has the equal rights on all the resources available in this globe. So we should not distort that resources so that they will be not available to them. So we should responsibly use the resources. Like, for example, the source of water, the source of water being the largest, source of energy to us in this planet, it should not get wasted. So what I wanted to say is, water is a resource. It should be wisely used by us, our generation, so that it will not be remain, or it should not be scared in terms of resources. It should not be scared in terms of इसकी कमी नहीं होनी चाहिए भविष्य में. तो उसका वर्तमान में बहुत अच्छा इस्तेमाल होना चाहिए और थॉटफुल इस्तेमाल होना चाहिए और उसको कंजर्व भी करना चाहिए. मैम ये कहना चाह रही हैं कि पानी का संरक्षण भी जरूरी है और पानी का सही यूज भी आवश्यक है, ताकि वाटर रिजर्वायर्स खत्म ना हो, ग्राउंड वाटर लेवल और नीचे ना जाए, ताकि भविष्य में भी जो जनरेशन है उसको पानी मिलता रहे. सो एक पहलू तो ये हो गया कि फ्यूचर के लिए हमें सोचना चाहिए लॉन्ग टर्म के पर्सपेक्टिव से, कि फ्यूचर में जो हम यूज कर रहे हैं वो भी अवेलेबल रहे. और कुछ बताना चाहेगा कोई? लॉन्ग टर्म सस्टेनेबिलिटी क्या हो सकती है, और पुराने समय में लॉन्ग टर्म सस्टेनेबिलिटी के लिए जो लीडर्स थे वो क्या करते थे? कोई ऐसा एग्जांपल लेके. एनीवन? Yeah. Dr. Manpreet, would you like to say something on this?
Sure, sir. Actually, when we talk about sustainability, we are talking about the taking care of resources in a manner that future generation is also, considered. We must leave some resources which nature has given to us for them. Like it's water, it's maybe minerals, it's maybe trees, or whatever, the climate aspects are. Further, we can say that whatever we are using as businesses are raw materials, or we are depleting the resources, we must take care that we are contributing to the society to a greater extent as we are taking. No doubt it is socially responsive actions also, but it is in terms of the natural resources also. There are some other dimensions too, like when we talk about the workforce, whether we are contributing towards their training, development, we are talking about their career also, we are talking about their developmental aspects also. So when we are talking about sustainability, again, I would say the same thing. There are so many things which can be inculcated, and a holistic approach regarding our mankind, regarding our nature, regarding the resources, regarding the future generation should be taken care of.
So true, very right. So what she suggested is, Dr. Manpreet, she said that sustainability should be from the viewpoint of your employees, our responsibility towards the society. Like she was complimenting the word that her earlier, colleague has said, that we should be into responsible use, so that the future should not be, there will be less or zero resources left for the future. So we should make sure that our usage for the current resources should be more thoughtful, right, and more responsible. So beside to this, if you talk about the business organization, beside to people, if you think from the sustainability, our profits should not be also compromised. We should not compromise our profit, which means that हमें पता है पानी का उपयोग जरूरी है, पर पानी हमारे उद्योग के लिए भी जरूरी है. जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल कोई कोल्ड ड्रिंक बनाने वाली कंपनी है, पेप्सी एंड कोका कोला फॉर इंस्टेंस. सो इट इज लार्जली अ कार्बोनेटेड वाटर. 99.9% जो आप कोल्ड ड्रिंक पीते हैं वो पानी का कार्बोनेटेड रूप है. तो उसमें 99.9% कार्बोनेटेड वाटर ही पड़ा हुआ है, राइट. उसके अलावा 0.1% जो उसके फर्दर केमिकल्स होंगे वो उसमें होंगे, या पेस्टिसाइड्स होंगे. पर पानी अगर हम यूज नहीं करेंगे तो हम बिजनेस भी नहीं कर पाएंगे. पर इंपॉर्टेंट ये है कि रिसोर्स जो हम यूज कर रहे हैं, फॉर एग्जाम्पल वाटर, इट शुड बी thoughtfully used. We are using gallons of water. We must have a targeted limit that we are using this much of gallon of water. So we should also save this much of X percentage of that water. हमें उन्हें waste नहीं करना. If we are wasting the water, it should be retreated, right? So that we can, in organizations also, if you look around, businesses are nowadays using their resources, especially the the resources that are non-renewable primarily. Although water is called to be the renewable one, but yes, for the resources which are non-renewable, they are using them wisely without compromising the profits also. So reusage is something is coming up now. Recycling, reusage, repackaging, circularity we call it. So प्रॉफिट्स विदाउट कॉम्प्रोमाइजिंग प्रॉफिट, सस्टेनेबिलिटी, अगर हम प्रॉफिट नहीं लेंगे तो हमारा बिजनेस ठप हो जाएगा, हम खुद ही सस्टेन नहीं हो पाएंगे, तो प्रॉफिट भी हमारा कंटिन्यू रहना चाहिए, रिसोर्सेज को हमें प्रॉपरली बैलेंस तरीके से मैनेज करना है, और तीसरी चीज जो हमारे लिए इंपॉर्टेंट है वो क्या है, पीपल, प्रॉफिट एंड प्लैनेट. थर्ड इज प्लैनेट. हम बात करते हैं सोसाइटी की, कस्टमर्स की, हम अपने प्रॉफिट की बात करते हैं, पर हमें ये भी देखना है कि जो हम यूज कर रहे हैं उससे प्लैनेट को नुकसान ना हो. इट शुड बी नॉट डिस्टॉर्ट द प्लैनेट. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, हम जो भी प्रोडक्ट्स यूज कर रहे हैं या बायो प्रोडक्ट्स बना रहे हैं या फिर जो हम रिसोर्सेज यूज कर रहे हैं, दे शुड बी मोर बायोडिग्रेडेबल. इफ दे आर आर्टिफिशियली ड्रिवन देन दे शुड बी मोर इको फ्रेंडली. जैसे पैकेजिंग का एग्जांपल मैंने अमेज़न के केस में लिया है. तो एक्चुअली ये सारी प्रैक्टिसेस क्या हैं, ये जो आप प्लानिंग या स्ट्रेटजीज बना रहे हो कि हम सस्टेन करेंगे खुद को, ये हमारी अर्थव्यवस्था के लिए ही है, ये हमारी इकोनॉमी के लिए है, पर सिर्फ इकोनॉमी के लिए या प्रॉफिट के लिए नहीं है, ये प्लैनेट के लिए भी होना चाहिए और ये लोगों के लिए भी होना चाहिए. सो वी हैव 3 एस्पेक्ट्स ऑफ सस्टेनेबिलिटी व्हिच इज कॉल्ड एज ट्रिपल बॉटम लाइन. Triple bottom line, which means that while we are doing business and we want our business to be sustainable enough, we should take care of the people, society, employees, which are coming under the common definition of people. We should not compromise on profits also, because it is a major there, it is a major purpose of ours. And third is, we are here because the planet is here, so we are also responsible for the planet. So considering all these 3 P's, people, planet, profit, we are balancing them, and we simply call these 3 P's as triple bottom line. We should take care of these 3 P's at the bottom line, right? So now, interestingly, if you see the inspiring wisdom of Arthshastra, it helps us to reconnect ourselves as a leader with what the ancient people has done, what the ancient rulers has done, right? And the legacy of managing the whole show, which is a strategic management of doing business, it is again, being maintained and again being passed on to the modern managers, which we have learned from, which the tactics and the way of doing business is being learned by. Like for example, आप बुद्ध की ये फोटो देख रहे हैं ना, बुद्ध खुद भी खा रहे हैं और जानवरों को भी खिला रहे हैं. So ये अपना में एक सस्टेनेबल लाइवलीहुड है कि मेरी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी प्लैनेट के बाकी लोगों के लिए भी है. मैं खुद तो सर्वाइव कर ही रहा हूँ, साथ साथ जो बाकी जीव जंतु हैं, जो बाकी इकोलॉजी है, उसको भी मैं मेंटेन करने में हेल्प कर रहा हूँ. तो वो भी हमारी इकोलॉजी का ही पार्ट है, तो हम को एग्जिस्ट कर पा रहे हैं. तो यही विजडम है जो हमें पुराने स्पिरिचुअल से देखने को मिलता है. ह्यूमिटी, आपकी ह्यूमैनिटी, एक दूसरे के साथ ब्लेंड करना, इकोलॉजी में सारे जीव जंतुओं का एक साथ रहना, ये भी एक एस्पेक्ट है. बिसाइड, अगर हम बात करते हैं यहाँ पे 2 इंपॉर्टेंट पहलू पे कि एथिक्स क्या है हमारे लिए. तो एथिकल डिसीजन मेकिंग क्या हो सकती है, ये इस पे कोई प्रकाश डालना चाहेगा, कोई एग्जांपल लेके जो आपने रिसेंटली देखा हो, पढ़ा हो, सुना हो. आई बिलीव डॉक्टर रितु कैन आंसर दिस. एथिकल डिसीजन मेकिंग क्या हो सकती है मैम, एथिकल डिसीजन मेकिंग? Dr. Nidhi? Okay, anybody who is interested to answer this. Ethical decision making.
So, like we can see, like this government is taking various decisions of incorporating, as we are learning, traditional management systems. So when we are talking about the traditional management systems, the core was ethics and values, and sustainability is again its core. When we talk about Vedas or when we talk about our ancient scriptures, then again, the ethical aspects and the sustainable aspects are very highlighted. But the modern people or the Western world is propagating as if it is their, contribution towards the world, talking about sustainable goals or talking about the values and ethics or responsible leadership or sustainable tourism or something like that. So it becomes in a one way our duty, that our responsibility also, that we take care of those teachings or learnings which have been our treasure to revive them, or maybe to reintroduce them to the world, and keep them alive also by the way of practicing such things which we are doing today. I
So
hope.
correct. So correct. Yes, yes. Dr. Manpreet, you're right. And just to add to what she said is, we have recently witnessed the era when the whole world was being locked down, and India has also experienced almost 2 years of partial and full lockdown. It was a time when COVID has hurted us a lot. Many of people has lost their close relatives, friends, and family. And India has still lot to offer to the world, and that was COVID shield and the COVID vaccine actually. And we being the largest producer, right, thanks to Indian Council of Medical Research and your very own Indian company of Bangalore, having headquartered in Bangalore. So these two companies, they clubbed together and they allied together, and the Poonawala's company and Government of India, ICMR, has joined hand, and they produced the largest, lot size of vaccine, which India has decided to ethically, export to, free of cost, of course, to the neighboring countries, including Pakistan. So we, as you know through the news also, that Government of India decided that they will have the ethical, rights on the ecology also, which is surrounded by Bharatvarsh. So our responsibility is also not to help and heal our people, the population of India, but also our responsibility is to help others around. So they distributed, they created a logistic system for distribution to Nepal, to Pakistan, Bangladesh, right, Vietnam, China. Few part of China also was the consumer of our vaccine. And Serum India Limited and ICMR, they joined hand for the purpose. So this is ethical decision making, which means that all are human, no matter they are Indian or not. And beside to this, evacuation of the Indians which are living outside India, maybe some Keralites which are the part of Dubai, or maybe the people which are residing in China or near to Wuhan city, government has first decided that to evacuate the people. No matter how risky or infected they are in terms of vaccine, in terms of COVID-19 virus. But this is the ethical decisions. A lot of episodes have happened, no matter who is at the center as a prime minister. But importantly, government still being a country which is having the DNA of ethics inbuilt, we are rigorously into the process of, helping Indians, helping other in the name of mankind, in the name of, serving to the mankind. So this is actually the ethics which is inbuilt. I mean, we have not been taught to help our neighbors because it is, coming through the sanskar we have. But sanskar sikhaya nahi jate, sanskar by default aa jate hain, right? So now, interestingly, there are a lot of episodes when the government and the Indian companies are helping. Like companies do huge amount of CSR abroad. They're helping people of Africa to educate their kids. Companies like Airtel has invested huge amount of money into South Africa or African countries. Companies like Infosys, they're investing huge amount of money. Sudha Murthy is investing a lot of through her federation. She's helping underprivileged people, right? Microsoft as a company, I'm taking another example which is not non-Indian. It's helping into fighting diseases. They invested huge amount of money into vaccine creation, inventing new vaccine, right? So philanthropic acts are being happened, and this is one of the way ethical leadership is coming up. And through the philanthropic acts, a lot of people, Mahindra and Mahindra, they're helping poor to invent. They support the startups. Anand Mahindra himself is very enthusiastic with the new village starters, help them, identify them, and help them, right? So this is something is an example, set of examples of ethical leadership. Now, interestingly, in a world order which is highly risky, we have a lot of risk. We have currency risk, dollar के against Indian currency down जा रही है, बढ़ रही है. We have a risk of companies. आज हमने startup खोला, survive नहीं कर पाया, 5 साल बाद बंद हो गया. Right. So actually हमारा wisdom जो हम drawn करते हैं वैदिक एजुकेशन से, वो रिस्क मैनेजमेंट में कैसे हेल्प कर रहा है, ये थोड़ा इंटरेस्टिंग भी है. और ये अपने आप में बड़ा प्रैक्टिकल टॉपिक है, राइट? तो अगर आप अर्थशास्त्र पढ़ने का आपको मौका मिलता है तो अर्थशास्त्र का जो प्रिंसिपल्स हैं उनमें रिस्क एंड रिवार्ड सिस्टम दिया हुआ है, राइट? कि एक सिस्टम अपने आप में खुद रीएनफोर्समेंट लर्निंग लेता है। सो हमारा रिस्क जितना बढ़ता है उतना हमें रिटर्न्स या रिवॉर्ड मिलते हैं। ये सिर्फ आपकी किताब इन्वेस्टमेंट की बुक्स में या फाइनेंस की किताबों में नहीं लिखा हुआ है, ये तो अर्थशास्त्र ने डायरेक्टली लिखा हुआ है शुरू के 3 पन्नों में, कि जो सिस्टम ग्रोथ करते हैं उन्हें रिस्क भी उतना बेयर करना पड़ता है। अमेरिका इज अ, or let us not take America because could be it has an old history, but we have a very great country called as Japan, which re-evolved after Second World War. It was almost at a scrap when Second World War was being completed. Hiroshima, Nagasaki and all, Japan was already destroyed, no? But Second World War हुए हुए उतना ही टाइम हुआ जितना भारत देश को आजाद हुए हुआ है, almost the same time period of 10-15 साल का वेरिएशन. But Japanese are the leaders in terms of electronics and engineering they have created, because they encourage, they innovate, they excel, and the reward is they become the world leader. अपने स्वावलंब में अपने पैरों पे खड़े होने वाली विश्व की सबसे बड़ी फोर्स, सबसे बड़ा अर्थव्यवस्था, अब ऑब्वियसली अमेरिका के बाद या अब चाइना के बाद, राइट? And highly ethical. I mean, first thing which is being taught to the people of Japan or the kids of Japan is how to remain patriotic, how to serve the nation first. They have been asked to clean their own washrooms so that they become swabalambi, right? They will not have chota kaam hai, bada kaam hai. They have been taught to read and write in Japanese language. So now, few things which should be inculcated in the mindset of the small kids, because they were highly ignite in the days to come. We must have inculcate the formula of risk and return in their mind, so that risk-taking appetite will be very much infused into the minds of the kids since from their childhood. And Japan is the greatest example of risk-taking appetite. I mean, they have not read Arthshastra, of course, but they have the philosophy of serving nation first. And Arthshastra principle also says that Desh Raksha सबसे ऊपर है, right? रक्षा रक्षता, हम देश की रक्षा नहीं कर पाएंगे तो अपनी रक्षा कैसे कर सकते हैं? So interestingly, रिस्क का रिवॉर्ड भी मिलता है और इस पहलू को इसमें जज किया हुआ है. So 2 चीजें बड़ी इंपॉर्टेंट है जब हम रिसोर्स एलोकेशन की बात करते हैं रिवॉर्ड्स लेने के पर्सपेक्टिव से. वी शुड हैव द हैबिट ऑफ ऑप्टिमाइजिंग अवर रिसोर्सेस. ऑलवेज देयर इज अ इकोनॉमिक्स की किताब का पहला पन्ने में लिखा होता है स्केर्सिटी ऑफ रिसोर्स. इकोनॉमिक्स का होने का रीजन ही है कि रिसोर्स स्केर्ड होते हैं और विश्व में कोई भी ऐसा रिसोर्स नहीं है जो स्केर्ड ना हो, जिसकी कमी ना हो. कमी है इसीलिए उस पर इकोनॉमी है, उस पर देश फाइट करते हैं, जैसे भूमि होना या पानी होना. कावेरी जल विवाद अभी तक चल रहा है, जितना देश पुराना है उससे पुराना वो जल विवाद है. तो 2 बड़े स्टेट्स लड़ रहे हैं उसको लेके, उस पर राजनीति होती है, उस पर पीएम्स चीफ मिनिस्टर्स बने हैं कावेरी जल विवाद को लेके. तो ये एक एग्जांपल लगा है. पर अर्थशास्त्र में ये मेंशन किया हुआ है कि हम कैसे अपने रिसोर्सेज को आइडेंटिफाई करें और उनको ऑप्टिममली प्लान करें. उनका पहले अलॉटमेंट करा जाए और उनको ऑप्टिममली प्लान किया जाए. हर रिसोर्स की एक लाइफ स्पैन डिसाइड की हुई है, उसका फॉर्मूला बताया हुआ है, डिस्क्रिप्शन बताया हुआ है. और एलोकेशन के बाद हम कैसे उन रिसोर्सेज का इस्तेमाल अपनी लॉन्ग टर्म प्लानिंग में कर सकते हैं और भविष्य के पहलू से हम उसको कैसे सस्टेन कर सकते हैं, उसका सस्टेनेबल पर्सपेक्टिव क्या रहेगा. सो वन थिंग विच इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट इन वट एवर डिसिप्लिन वी हैव, एनी रिसोर्स is important, and resource planning leads to profit, people, profit and anybody? Sustainability has key planet. We can serve planet better. So important is what we must need to identify the right resources. For example, minerals, for instance, we know that lithium is limited, right? And the whole world is looking forward for gasoline-free transportation system. We are not banking upon petrol and diesel because they are limited in stock. So we are looking out for some alternative fuel. And the world order is now looking out for EV as one of the electric vehicle as one of the close substitute to gasoline products or gasoline-driven cars or transportation systems. But yes, it has its own limitation because when it comes to lithium-ion battery or lithium as a resource, as a mineral, it is available only through the mining, and mines are limited to because they are resources. Either the mines are available in Australia or maybe some part of Africa or maybe some part of China also. So we need to have a sustainable plan that if not, what? If the lithium, reservoir is being, exhausted. So they're thinking that, the recent innovators are thinking about alternative to EV vehicles also. They are saying that hydrocarbon is something, hydrogen is something is a good resource. The hydrogen cell is something, we can work upon. But hydrogen still is a resource, right? Either hydrogen is to be pumped in from the environment, from the air, or it is to be, cultivated into the laboratory. So we must have a long-term plan for the purpose. Look, ye nahi keh rahe hain ki let us not take, a petrol car. We can use cycles or we can simply walk. वो लॉन्ग टर्म अल्टरनेटिव सोच के चल रहे हैं कि ईवी कर लेंगे, ईवी के बाद हम हाइड्रोजन में चले जाएंगे. बट एक छोटा सॉल्यूशन ये भी हो सकता था कि आप पब्लिक ट्रांसपोर्टेशन यूज कीजिए और अवॉइड कीजिए कि रोड में आप ट्रैफिक ना बढ़ाएं और आप आसपास के एरिया को पैदल कवर कर लें या साइकिल से, जिसमें आपकी एनर्जी भी प्रॉपर्ली यूटिलाइज होगी और एनवायरनमेंट को भी आप कुछ दे पाएंगे. सो हमारी प्लानिंग्स थोड़ी सी कॉन्ट्राडिक्टरीज हैं. इट्स नॉट अबाउट इंडिया, इट्स अबाउट एवरीवेयर. तो रिसोर्स को समझने के लिए पहले रिसोर्स को आइडेंटिफाई करके उसका स्कोप जान के उसको रिस्पेक्ट देके और उसकी लाइफ साइकिल एसेस करके उसको प्लान करना आवश्यक है, मेरी समझ से. सो होलिस्टिक इम्पैक्ट क्या है? होलिस्टिक इम्पैक्ट ये है कि आप एक कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव वर्क प्लान बना सकते हैं जिसमें आप मल्टीपल डिसीजंस टाइम पे लेते रहेंगे. और होलिस्टिक का मतलब एक और भी है कि आप पूरी लाइफ स्पैन में, पूरे टाइम में आप मल्टीपल टाइम फ्रेम के दौरान जब आपका सो कॉल्ड डिसीजन मेकिंग का साइकिल है, पीरियड है, उस पूरे पीरियड में आप पीरियोडिकली असेसमेंट करते रहेंगे. दिस इज ऑल्सो होलिस्टिक एस्पेक्ट. जो डिसीजंस आपने लिए हैं उनको आप री इवेल्युएट करते रहेंगे बीच बीच में, तिमाही में, 6 माही में या साल भर में एक बार. इसी वजह से मैं एक चीज को अप्रिशिएट करना चाहता हूँ. जो इंडिया में पंचशील का पंचवर्षीय योजना का जो सिस्टम था, जो नीति आयोग के बनने के बाद ना दिखता हुआ दिखाई दे रहा है, which was very hit and very respectably, helping India to reach to that level, the present level, which was being introduced by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. कि जो हमारा प्लानिंग कमीशन जिसके लिए बनाया गया था वो था 5 साल का प्लान. एंड 5 साल का जो प्लान था वो सब्सटेंशियली वाज अ गुड अमाउंट ऑफ टाइम फॉर इंडिया टू बिकम अ काइंड ऑफ स्वावलंबी इंडिया. बिकॉज 5 साल में आपके जो इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर प्रोजेक्ट्स हैं, 5 साल गवर्नमेंट भी आपकी 5 साल के लिए है, 5 साल के लिए आपके पास प्रोजेक्ट भी है, 5 साल के लिए बजट भी है. बजट इतना बड़ा अमाउंट नहीं हो सकता तो हम उसे तोड़ देते हैं, हर साल का एक ऑपरेटिंग बजट बना देते हैं उसके लिए. तो वर्क प्रोग्रेस भी पता लगती रहेगी और जब पहला प्रोग्रेस अच्छी होगी तो हम सेकंड प्रोग्रेस में उतना ही बजट दे देंगे. फिर तीसरे के लिए हम तीसरे टाइम फ्रेम में दे देंगे, फिर चौथे में दे देंगे, फिर 5वें में दे देंगे और प्रोजेक्ट कंप्लीट हो जाएगा. So it has its rationality, that plan was having some sort of sustainability and it was a very holistic one because सब चीजें कवर हो रही हैं. मैं बात कर रहा हूँ, ऑफ कोर्स मैं रोड्स की बात कर रहा हूँ, मैं डैम्स की बात कर रहा हूँ, मैं अपने उत्तराखंड के डैम की बात कर रहा हूँ जो विश्व का THDC ने जो बनाया, टेरी डैम जो है, जो विश्व का 4थे नंबर का सबसे बड़ा डैम है और उसे काफी बड़े अमाउंट पे पानी रिजर्व होता है. टेरी एक जगह है यहाँ पे, वहाँ बनाया है, पावर जनरेशन होती है. यूपी तक को हम लोग एनर्जी देते हैं, हरियाणा को एनर्जी देते हैं, हाइड्रो पावर एनर्जी देते हैं. कई सारे हाइड्रो पावर प्लांट चल रहे हैं यहाँ पे. तो वो होलिस्टिक अप्रोच है. तो होलिस्टिक अप्रोच लॉन्ग टर्म को सोचती है और उसके लिए प्लान और फंडिंग की आवश्यकता भी है. और इस बारे में मैं आई मस्ट अप्रिशिएट द प्लानिंग कमीशन फॉर द पर्पस बिकॉज 5 वर्षीय योजना को सपोर्ट करने के लिए यू मस्ट हैव अ बैकअप टू सपोर्ट इट. एंड वो पैसे की कमी होने की वजह से पार्शियल फंडिंग 5 बार आप कर सकते हैं. And it was very much, if you have time to read, please go through that, how the 5 years plan was being incepted and how they were being implemented so successful. तो फेलियर रेट कम हो जाता है प्रोजेक्ट्स में। एक बड़ा अच्छा एग्जांपल है भारत देश से। स्ट्रेटेजिक प्लानिंग में भी हम काफी यूज कर सकते हैं अर्थव्यवस्था को, अर्थशास्त्र के प्रिंसिपल्स को। मैं छोटा सा उदाहरण लेके चलता हूँ। जैसे हम एडप्टेशन कर रहे हैं, फॉर एग्जाम्पल नई टेक्नोलॉजी को लेके, जैसे अभी हम बात कर रहे हैं 3G या 5G की, और रिसेंटली चाइना ने 6G को भी टेस्ट कर लिया है। तो हमारे पास जो डिवाइसेस हैं पब्लिक एंटरप्राइजेस के पास, जिन पे टेलीकम्युनिकेशन चल रहा है, फॉर एग्जाम्पल मैं BSNL की बात करता हूँ, तो BSNL still is the largest network in India which serve public offices, right? अभी हर चीज जियो के पास नहीं है, अभी भी BSNL is the largest implementation partner when it comes to communication services. But now if you see that for example India has 5G, so the infrastructure that BSNL is available is not actually comply with 5G because it's the old one, and 5G is the fifth generation technology is much super, much advanced, and in comply with the BSNL old infrastructure. So now importantly, if BSNL is being asked to formulate a strategy for new form of technologies, it should deploy or devise their devices, जो नए devices अब बनाए जाएंगे या लगाए जाएंगे, that for the next other generations of technologies they should be complied. It should not be timing कि 5G के लिए बना दी जाए और वो 6G में फर्दर दोबारा से इनकम्प्लाई हो जाए। सो लॉन्ग टर्म विजन बहुत आवश्यक है किसी भी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के लिए। ऐसी NEP के साथ है। NEP का सिलेबस जो हम बना रहे हैं शुड नॉट सर्व द लोकल कि अगले साल मेरा प्रमोशन है इसलिए मैं अच्छा बना देता हूँ। इट शुड नॉट फॉर द सच अ स्मॉल पीरियड ऑफ टाइम। इट शुड बी लॉन्ग टर्म, दैट स्टूडेंट्स के कैरियर में कैसे नए जो कैरिकुलम है वो सपोर्ट करेगा। इट शुड बी द पार्ट ऑफ लॉन्ग टर्म विजन। सो रिफाइनमेंट एंड क्लियर कट विजन इज इंपॉर्टेंट। फॉगी नहीं होना चाहिए विजन कभी भी। इट शुड बी एनविजन्ड, एनविजन फ्यूचर वी कॉल इट, नो। ये फ्यूचर को क्लियरली देखने की क्षमता रखने वाला ही विजनरी कहलाता है, जो फ्यूचर को एनविजन कर सके। सो इम्पोर्टेंटली जो भी हम प्लान बना रहे हैं, वेदर इट इज NEP, वेदर इट इज adaptation of new technology or new form of technology where industry 4.0, robotics is coming up, government organizations are now facing new challenges, local governments are facing new problems. For example, the biggest challenge to parents, almost we all are the parents, is the evolvement of artificial intelligence applications. बच्चे को ChatGPT यूज करना आता है, सो उसका जो क्रिएटिविटी है वो धीरे धीरे खत्म हो रही है। नाउ इफ यू वांट टू ट्रेन योर ओन स्टूडेंट, ओन किड, हाउ यू गोइंग टू डू द पेरेंटिंग फॉर दैट पर्पस, हाउ यू आर एडप्टिंग। जब तक आपको ChatGPT खुद नहीं पता होगा तो आप कैसे उसे हेल्प कर पाओगे कोप करने के लिए उससे। तो हर एस्पेक्ट में वी मस्ट हैव टू हैव द काइंड ऑफ Arthshastra could be applicable in that case because it shows that we should know the things first with principle 1, principle 2, principle 3 and principle 4, and long term participation, long term hand holding can be held, right? This is important. Similarly for collaboration reason also, if you don't know the industry, if you don't know the things, राजा को सब पता होना चाहिए। जैसे टीम लीडर के कंटेक्स्ट में मैं आपको HR के कई सारे टीचर्स हैं यहाँ पे at this thing sound, टीम लीडर must know everything, no? अब मेरा बिजनेस है तो मुझे सफाई करनी भी आनी चाहिए, झाड़ू पोछा लगाना भी आना चाहिए, मुझे टेक्निकल नॉलेज भी होनी चाहिए सॉफ्टवेयर बनाने की, मुझे उसकी टेस्टिंग की नॉलेज भी होनी चाहिए, मुझे उसे मार्केट करना भी आना चाहिए। सेम गोज विद द लीडर। आई कैन ओनली डू द पार्टनरशिप विद द पीपल if we are known to the things. I must known to the things. Why this guy PM Modi is so popular in international landscape? Because although he is not technically very sound, but the team he has made let him train that what to say to whom. So the partnership, when he was traveling across world and the opposition and common man was criticizing him कि ये तो बाहर ही रहते हैं पूरे टाइम, he was aligning India with international avenues. He was into multinational collaboration. If you see ऑस्ट्रेलिया के साथ इंडिया का काफी अच्छा मल्टी पर्सपेक्टिव पे मल्टी इंडस्ट्रियल अलायंस हुआ है, and two Australian universities are decided that they will start venturing into Hyderabad for coming up with 2 universities. और बहुत सारी चीज़ें हुई हैं बिकॉज ईवी हमारी इंडस्ट्री है, सेमीकंडक्टर पॉलिसी बनी है, उसमें भी हमें बहुत सारा ऑस्ट्रेलिया से इनपुट चाहिए. So recently collaboration requires skill. Partnership required a full-fledged leader which has everything known to him. If not, leadership में flaw आ जाएगा. तो उसको cope करने के लिए must have intelligence enough to address new changes, to note first new changes and to address them. So now interestingly, ethical governance की बात करते हैं हम लोग, तो कई सारे पहलू हैं जिन पे हम बात करते हैं. I was talking about how the COVID shield and this COVID vaccine has been come into picture. We were having pressure. The government, Modi government was having pressure on it that foreign vaccine companies, Pfizer and all, should come in India and do experiments on human trials, and it should partner with the government of India. But government decided not. They said that we have a department for making research and development. ICMR, Indian Council of Medical Research, they will do the basic testing, and we will only, partner with the Indian company, because India is the largest populated country, and we can't, through a private partnership, we can't give vaccine free of cost to everybody. So we need a local Indian partner who is an Indian company, so that we can do the subsidy arrangement with that. And they were successful. India became the drive of first two drives of, vaccination is the largest, is a world record, and it was free of cost. Our first vaccine was free of cost. So this is interesting, right? So now one thing very important is basically is a good leadership. What are the quality of good leaders when it comes to considering ancient wisdom into? So the first thing first is we should draft effective leadership models, right? We have examples of Adolf Hitler, and we also have the example of, in modern times, we have the example of Gandhi. And the prime minister, the president of USA, much before this, Joe, we have a black president that time. What was his name? The black president of USA?
Barack Obama.
So Barack Obama के ऑफिस में गांधी जी क्या फोटो लगा हुआ था, राइट? और देयर वाज सेक्रेटरी टू यूनाइटेड नेशन कॉल्ड एज कोफी अन्नन, उनके ऑफिस में भी गांधी जी का फोटो लगा हुआ था. जब साउथ अफ्रीका का फाइट चला था अपना इंडिपेंडेंस को लेके, तो देयर वाज अ लीडर, नेल्सन मंडेला, who was also he was a very, very die-hard fan of Mahatma Gandhi. So our leadership is not limited to India or India's freedom. It was being acknowledged and it was being appreciated. And even after even after Gandhi died, almost 75 years back, still his philosophy, Gandhian philosophy, is applicable. People still believe that Gandhi was a leader for the future, and still the young, generation, leaders, not specifically the black leaders I'm talking about. No, not. It is not about the racist remark that blacks are like Indians and they have the same problem. That's why Gandhi is their leader. No, it's not about the color of the skin, but the philosophy that Gandhi has given. Still, people use it. I mean, the people from current government also. They are the die-hard fan of Gandhi. Our Arthshastra Swachhata mission is based on Gandhi. It starts from 2nd of October, Gandhi's birth date. So effective leadership requires models, and the models are never, they are never aged. Models are always followed. The Gandhian philosophy is still there. People still follow Gandhian's philosophy. And for a country like India, Gandhian philosophy in many of terms is very effective, because Gandhi says that focus on your strength. If you simply see it and understand from the viewpoint of modern days, leadership, it says that focus on your strength, right? Because what you know is what you know, right? So what you know should be focused, not anything which you're not, competent in. So if your competency is to strengthen yourself into a core, focus on that. And that's why leadership of Gandhi, or maybe because why not? Adolf Hitler is the part of somebody's motivation. He was more successful during the time, but Adolf Hitler is a bad example because Adolf Hitler was not that self-motivated. No, he committed suicide, right? And this guy Gandhi has transformationalized a lot many people. The people with the small, small in height, with almost आधे वजन में कपड़ा नहीं है, लाठी लेके चल पड़ा, लोग follow कर रहे हैं उसको. So leadership models need to be told to the people, to the students in our industry, so that we can create a blending between the modern leaders, because लोगों को modern leaders ज़्यादा समझ में आते हैं, right? विवेकानंद ज़्यादा समझ में आता है youth को, और उनकी जो philosophy है, that is again it is being channelized and it is being encouraged from Vedas. If you start reading the learnings and live lesson of Swami Vivekanand ji, it is being encouraged from a lot many things from Vedas also. So they are the highly influencing leaders, because APJ Kalam, for example, he being even a person from a non-Hindu family, he was Veena Vadak, he read Bhagavad Gita and a lot of stuff. New leaders in recent times, they are also, the die-hard fan of Bhagavad Gita, Vedic, Quran also, no doubts, and some part of Bible as well. So leadership qualities are practical applications which we understand as a blending of ancient wisdom and in the current form of leadership. And people appreciate because they are getting solution through such kind of lessons, right? So since I'm a die-hard fan of ISKCON, so we really acknowledge, as a disciple of Lord Krishna, we follow because our founder of ISKCON, Prabhupada ji, and a lot of new leaders, they become the follower or disciple of ISKCON because of that leadership. Because गीता तो बहुत पहले से थी, पर गीता को पढ़ना और गीता की लेसन्स को समझना और उसे अपनी लाइफ में फॉलो करना, उसके लिए आपको कोई टीचर चाहिए. तो टीचर, आई बिलीव कि टीचर बीइंग इनटू टीचिंग प्रोफेशन, वी by default become a kind of bridge between great leaders for the future and the innocent students. So we have a larger become the kind of impact makers, we call it. So leadership impact is coming all together when we are able to create a blending between the modern form of future future leaders and the principle of Arthshastra and Vedic management. So first thing first is we should be constantly involved into research and development through devising new form of interventions where we can blend traditional wisdom with the current and future requirement of businesses. And we should keep experimenting through different cases, through different evidence collection or evidence-based researches. So innovation is important actually. And this innovation, which is a part of research, should be well tested on periodic basis, so that innovation should give more value to the stakeholders, and more new principles of industrial principles can be derived, and profit and value should not be compromised when it comes to business houses. So leadership should be at the center. Innovation should be a tool, and the philosophical perspective should come from the ancient wisdom that we are carrying from the book of spiritual books of ours, or books which are from the ancient knowledge. So one thing that's very clear, that we should see the things from the perspective of society, how it is impacting the society, the businesses, how it is helping the people to live better lives. It should give the life bread and butter to them also. So our solution should be more practical and more feasible. It should not limit it to only to our knowledge, or they are so idealized that you can't implement them. For example, I still remember that most of the people have Bhagavad Gita in their मंदिर, घरों के मंदिर में होते हैं, लाल कपड़े में लपेटी हुई, बिकॉज उनको लगता है वो एक धर्म ग्रंथ है जिसका इस्तेमाल सिर्फ पढ़ने के लिए या रखने के लिए होते हैं और वो रियल लाइफ में एप्लीकेबल नहीं है. सो फर्स्टली वी शुड inculcate, we should first understand what these scientific tools all about, and once we convince ourselves, we can use it for our own courses जिनको हम पढ़ाते हैं. तो इन्हीं में लिखा हुआ है, इसके अलावा कहीं गाइड नहीं है. if you see and simply search on Google and write Indian knowledge system, तो उसमें आपको कुछ मिलेगा ही नहीं. उसमें वो रेफर कर देगा कि वेद में दिया हुआ है, आप सारे वेद पढ़ डालो या गीता पढ़ डालो, रामायण पढ़ डालो. तो आपको खुद ही इनिशिएट करना पड़ेगा. There are a lot of things you can demonstrate through your examples in the classroom by relating, some episodes or some sort of cases from Ramayana and Bhagavad Gita. And in real life also, you can use it for your own purposes as well, right? So there are interesting things that हमने पहले भी डिस्कस किया है कि सेल्फ अगर आप रिलेट करोगे ना, तो जो SDG या MDG goals थे, they are by and large very much intact and related to learning from Ramayana and Bhagavad Gita. तो जैसे मैं बात करता हूँ यहाँ पे नो पॉवर्टी, तो किसी भी राजा के लिए सबसे पहला SDG का पहला गोल है नो पॉवर्टी. तो राजा एक रक्षक है जो मेक श्योर करता है कि सारी प्रजा को सप्लाई ऑफ फूड और शेल्टर हो. गवर्नेंस को ये इंश्योर करना. सिमिलरली जीरो हंगर, और जब आप स्वावलंबी होंगे, खुद ही अपना उत्पादन कर रहे हैं और अपने उत्पादन का इस्तेमाल करके आप सोसाइटी को सर्व कर रहे हो, तो आप भी भूखे नहीं रहोगे और आपका पड़ोसी भी भूखा नहीं रहेगा. तो देयर all the things which you can learn from, or one can learn from, or you can let your students learn through Ramayana and relate it with the current form of goals set by United Nations or by the country. So social responsibility is very important, right? So ethically, Arthshastra emphasize on that the social welfare should be the first objective of the government, and they should also let people know that how to be responsible users. And in business ordination also these days, organizations are coming up with lot many of CSR intervention to train their own people, the society, that how to use things better. You're witnessing recently COVID-19. During the COVID-19, a lot of private companies are coming up and they are doing CSR for sensitizing people that how to clean their own hands so that virus effect will be lesser. लोगों को पता ही नहीं है हाथ कैसे धोने हैं, तो वो एक्चुअली वो भी अपने में सोशल रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है जो सोशल वेलफेयर को इनडायरेक्टली अफेक्ट कर रही है. So business or social impacts, of course, our work should not compromise with the societal. It should not only focus upon the benefits for the organization, but also it's of the business and societal impact also. It should have the societal impact also. No matter what, our industry itself is meant for the societal impact, but still it requires a lot of innovation. We need to get back to the traditional books of the spiritual books and books of Indian knowledge, so that we can have a good connect. अभी बच्चे क्या होते हैं, डिप्रेशन में आ जाते हैं. So we have no solution for that until unless we draw self-consciousness within us as a teacher, so that we will have the solution for them. Right? They have their own problems during the teenage. They are facing problem from the peer pressure from their colleagues, which are being selected somewhere else, and they're not able to make to the national institution. That's why they took admission into B or C category institute, and they become the student of UG-PG program. They may have the pressure from the parents also. They may have their fractured relationship among parents sometimes. They have their own because of age they're not able to understand the difference between friends and the people. So they're also fighting with the psychological issues. So we can only give them the solution when we are able to cope and understand how we can connect it with the spiritual and ethical, or maybe the yogic aspect of the lives. So understanding from our side is the foremost important thing. We have a lot of examples when the industries are coming up with a lot of intervention for social welfare of the people. Yoga become compulsory for companies which are highly knowledge-driven companies. Like, for example, KPOs, IPOs, IT companies, IT-enabled companies, even the education institutions now, they made it compulsory. Like we had even our time, and कि मॉर्निंग में हमारी सबसे पहले हमारी प्रार्थना होगी, उसके बाद हम कुछ शुरू करेंगे. कंपनीज में भी अब शुरू हो गया कि सबसे पहले योग किया जाएगा या प्रार्थना की जाएगी. So अभी real time words example भी यही हो रहे हैं कि people are revamping and trying to get back to what they are fundamentally they have learned from, right? So beside to all, one thing is very clear that going back to basic is important these days, right? Because competition is very high. We are living into very stressful environment. We are, for every reason, even into a government job, we have a huge amount of, pressure from peer. We have the pressure from our bosses. Things are getting, fastly changed, right? And the expectation of our stakeholders is something very important. So application could be, we have multiple case studies where we have notably improved. Like I'm taking one example, although since you are the peer people, so I wish to tell you about. A lot of IITs decided that they will have their own center for youth development and training of their students. Those are come from fighting a national level exam of AIEEE. They are highly fertile students, but because of lot many of pressure which is coming up, while because getting into IIT is easy, but sustaining their BTech course for next 4 years or a master's program for next 5 years or maybe PhD program is not that easy because the environment is so intense, so competitive. So they fall into a lot of stress problems, psychological issues, a fear of missing out issues. So IIT Kanpur has decided, and we have a IIT in Himachal Pradesh also, IIT Mandi. They decided that they will have their own, center for spiritual activities, and they indulge students into discussions, and they try to, to get them trained through the learnings of Bhagavad Gita and Ramayana, so that a student get connected that Dhruv has the same problem. So while he was, so taking the instance from Bhagavad Gita or taking the instance from Bhagavatam, the student is able to relate that at this age, at this very small age of Dhruv, Bhagwan Dhruv, so he able to manage out. Or maybe Krishna has told Arjuna to fight and to become fearful in this worldly world where the competition is something is the greatest truth of the whole world. I need to fight and prove myself. So a lot of small cases and a lot of stories are being built and talk to the students so that they can feel connected with our ancient literature, and they get motivated from their spiritual heroes like Arjun, maybe Yudhishthir, maybe Dhruv, right? Or maybe Gajendra elephant was one of the incidents. So a lot of incidents are being talked in the form of small cases, right? And in some IITs it become a compulsory and the elective course in evaluated course also, right? So I believe that coming all together through good leadership and implementation strategies, we are able to meet out the requirement of the present as well as the future. And whichever practices the industry or our industry is witnessing, it should be properly documented. And a pool of Indian knowledge system where the good content, small caselets can be written down. It should be regularly monitored. It should be regularly updated, so that more and more institutionalization of the course content or the content could be delivered to the masses, so that we are able to build a better and sustainable future. So the takeaway are primarily out of the discussion that I wanted to tell you to you people is, we should constantly involve into a conversion process where our incapabilities, which are limitation of our individual willingness, should be rehabilitated, and it should help us to reconstitute ourselves, and we become more sustainable in terms of our personality, in terms of we as an individual, and we as a torch bearer to the future generation of Indians. Because by 2050, by 2050 India will become the youngest country in the world. Which means what? which means that the Indians will be the most of the Indians, the larger chunk of Indians are the youth by 2050, and we are the best, what do you call it, labor market. I mean, not labor of that sense, but I'm talking about the intellectual labors to the world. So अगर लेबर्स ही जो इंटेलेक्चुअल लेबर्स हैं, जो मैन फोर्स है, वही मोरली डाउन होगी, उसे पता नहीं होगा कि एथिक्स क्या है, अनएथिकल प्रैक्टिसेस क्या होती हैं, कब ना बोलना है, तो वो कैसे वर्ड को लीडरशिप दे पाएगी. So important is this: we are somewhere in the midway where we can simply explore the Indian management wisdom by reading and exchanging our ideas about the subject, and we should able to manage a holistic and integrated approach with ourselves, with our peer, right, no matter wherever we are. And thanks to HRDC type of agencies which are helping teachers to exchange their ideas through these kind of platforms, no matter it is physical or online. Yes, but importantly, it will definitely create a positive impact to the society. And as the word order, as I've said, by 2050, we will be able to supply very, very talented, very conscious, and very practical workforce to the world, who understands that what is right, what is wrong, what is ethical, what is not ethical, right? And the process should not be, limitized to timeline. It should be a continuous process. We should have the capability to accept. We should have the capability to reject also. So the process should not be, limitized to a particular, time frame. It should be a process with a endless time, because it is iterative process where we made things, we changed them, we again changed them, we learn, de-learn, and relearn. So call of action is there. Actually, we need to now. India is 75 years old now. We are somehow as a good and wisdom-wise is a good and a mature country. We are the largest populated country, and this is a time we should come out with immediate action. And this is the right time when we can, able to make a good action plan, good vision on how to inculcate and how to develop Indian management system through the wisdom we have carried from the previous and the earlier, eras. And we should, through NEP, we should enforce and reinforce that to the youth, which are the agents for the future, 2050 being the largest, young population, but largest HR supply to the world. Thank you so much. Any question you'd like to ask, please?
Sir, I want to say one thing. You are the bestest of the resource persons I have ever heard in my life.
I will indeed try to improve my understanding. Since it's a compliment, I'm taking it. Thank you so much, ma'am. And it's a humble, and thank you for what I say about this. But yes, I will try to improve this. And being a responsible, teachers, we should also involve into understanding our own scriptures. For example, like Manpreet Arora ma'am is from the Sikh community, for instance. So Guru Nanak Dev Ji and his learning Guru Granth Sahib is a biggest pool of is an extended version of Bhagavad Gita. If you go through that Guru Granth Sahib, so you get a lot of insights on how the evolvement of Sikh Dharma has come up, how the Hindus become Sikh, and how this a force of Khalsas has come into picture. And a lot of lessons you can on leadership you can teach to your students.
Yes, sir, surely. I do, and my mother was a great influence. We have Guru Granth Sahib at home. She used to, I am not a Punjabi learner, but still she made me learn that, and I can read that. And she always used to explain me that what it has written in it, and I surely use it in my management teachings also. And your influence has been such on me by one lecture only that I want to explore it more. And that's not just for the sake of a compliment, I mean it.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thanks a lot. Thanks for the compliment and thanks for the support. So I'm writing my email address and the phone number on the chat box. So anybody who's interested for collaboration, I'm looking out for the collaborators also who can seriously write on Indian knowledge system, and we can write some good research, because I believe that there is a dearth of good research writing in the domain. So anybody who is interested.
Yes, I'll try my best. If
Sure,
I
ma'am.
come up with idea, I contact you. I had requested Shefali ma'am also for the same.
Definitely.